I know. Would it be better if we make it first? Okay. So you're gonna be between Susan. Thank you so much. Let me introduce you to David.
So you are.
The Beacon family, can I talk to you about how this is going to go?
Yeah, that's good. So it might be easier because we're going to be coming up to like spy our name. That's fine.
Let me invite you to take your seats.
Good afternoon and welcome. We're so glad that you're here for this memorial of Bill Langenes. I'm Maria Fleming, and this is my sister Andre. We are two of Bill and Marie's several non-biological daughters. Andre and I had the unspeakably good fortune of living with Bill and Marie and Michael and David when we were children.
Like many of you, we wish that we could have been visiting Bill during the last days of his life. Maria and I did get the opportunity to see him once in the hospital. He was funny and so sweet. Marie shared that while in the hospital, Bill worried that I might run out of the business cards that he had designed and printed for me. While visiting him, I assured him that I was fine and that he certainly had a much more important job in front of him. Similar to the support that he gave many of us, Bill would have single-handedly launched and filled my new practice, given the chance. He was sharp as ever, knowing Jerry LaBar shared North Dakota toughness with him, and he tracked the many messages on the Caring Bridge site. We read some of the messages from St. Andrew Community aloud. He'd already memorized those too. Bill didn't stop working hard to care for all of us, and we experienced this during our brief visit to offer him support. For us, he wished he had jokes or a magic trick. For Marie, David, and Michael, he wished fluent, easy speech of the deepest care and love. And even for the nurses, the favorite cookies he could no longer eat. Then Bill, the man who didn't always go to church, shared his parting wisdom with me. With great effort, he said loudly and clearly, "Go to church."
This afternoon, we'll hear from Bill's wife, Marie, his son, David, Bill's sister, Jane, and Marie's sister, Eileen.
David's relationships among local musicians yield special talent Bill Athens on bass and Reese Marshburn on piano to bring us a few of Bill's favorite jazz pieces.
Maybe we can clap now because we are loving it already. Bill would have appreciated the hush during Peace. The Ham Beacon family, who claim Bill and Marie as their own, will share our common prayers.
As will Marilyn Fleming, Susan Kelly, Andrew Gardner, and Scott Powers.
And Chris Shine and Celeste Kersey will stand in for all of us as our community witness to Bill's tremendous impact on our lives. Andre and I want to thank you, Marie and David, for inviting all of us to gather today to celebrate our beloved Bill. And we thank the Langeneses for loving us all so well.
We believe we speak for all of us when we say we are grateful and we love you.
These are a sampling, excuse me, these are a sampling of quotes from Caring Bridge messages to Bill in his final days. Dear Bill, sending love from our family. Our high school son and I talked today about your guidance and support of the St. Andrew youth who are advocating for gun safety. He remembers the talks you organized, the book you created, and the trip to visit Senators Merkley and Wyden. Thank you for your witness to the next generation for how to work for a better world. You are in our prayers during this holy time. I didn't know Bill well, but was so moved by the way he threw himself into raising our consciousness about gun sense. Our daughters were involved in St. Andrew Youth Group at the time. I remember vividly how engaged the kids were when Bill spoke about why this issue mattered so much. Dear Bill, reading your final letter this morning was one of those experiences I believe will remain forever etched in my memory. Words fail to rise to the occasion. One thing I know, however, is I want to jump right into the sidecar with your many friends to support you and Marie on this leg of your life's journey. Bill, Jane Goodall said that it's impossible to get up in the morning and go to bed at night without having impact. You have had impact and will continue to have impact into the evolving future. Bill, you treated me like a daughter, bringing me soup when I was sick, making sure I had a working computer, trying to help me to find extra work, checking out my partner to make sure he was an upstanding man. You said he passed. Making sure my dog knew her place in the family, inviting me to the most amazing show that David played lead guitar in, and introducing me to your son, Michael, who has the same twinkle in his eye as you do. Bill, here is why I love you. I've felt your kindness right off the bat. If several conversations were going on, you always made sure to answer the question I'd asked. You always treated me, as well as my husband, with such calm and respect. One of your gifts that I loved was your storytelling. No detail omitted, and often such humor. Bill, you used to say that Marie needed way more social interaction than you did. But in your own way, you have been such a caring and generous member of so many communities, working tirelessly for reducing gun violence. As you and Marie joined our St. Andrew Lunch Bunch, you helped us step up our sharing with deeper reflections. And I can't forget your invaluable advice to me and my village colleagues as we started to think about how to share a vision of the village. I will miss you. Bill, last year we were all in Palm Springs at the same time. You and Marie generously offered to treat us to an architectural tour of the area. What fun to be in the car with you two fonts of information about the history of that part of the country. Also delightful was having an up-close view of the GPS squabbles between you two. So nice to see your humanity. I remember vividly your pride and generosity in sharing the book you made of Michael's talented and beautiful life. Your love was and is palpable. Now, in this time, I am moved by your movement toward death. You shall be one of the mentors I look toward when death is the best outcome for me. I am praying that you feel the accompaniment surrounding you. You will float freely into the Creator's all-encompassing grace, no doubt. Bill, thank you for the astute wisdom that you so willingly share with others. nudging us to be our best. Thank you for your wonderfully wry sense of humor and timing. Sometimes as your humor went sailing over my head, I would see a subtle twinkle in your eye, cluing me into the situation. What I love most is that the real Bill is still with us. His directness, love of family, and determination to make the best of things as they are is how he has always been. Bill, you were a delight in any conversation, whether it was a discussion on how to cook the perfect soft-boiled egg or what time in history would be interesting to visit. I remember you chose Washington, D.C. during World War II. Marie and Bill, as Bill's primary caregivers, you know him so intimately. You can travel partway with Bill and then blow kisses of love to him as you stand firmly on the shore. Godspeed to him and to you caring for him. Bill, thank you for these powerful words that you painstakingly put out to us as a gift. They are received so gratefully, with tears of both sorrow for anticipating this world losing you and joy for knowing you. It seems to me that the best way we can all honor your beautiful life is to live the beautiful lives we have to the fullest, in our own imperfections, with our own limitations, to commit ourselves to be as loving as we can be to our spouses, partners, and friends, to love our children wholeheartedly, especially as they struggle and experience pain. I will make every attempt to do that, to carry on the torch of wonder and love in this world as you bring yours aflaming into the next. And from Bill's childhood and high school friend, a Mary Oliver poem. Poem of the One World. This morning, the beautiful white heron was floating along above the water, and then into the sky of this, the one world we all belong to, where everything sooner or later is a part of everything else, which thought made me feel for a little while quite beautiful myself.
This is the email I sent to Bill on February 6th. I love you, Bill. I have always admired you. You've been such an inspiration to me. You and Marie taking the time and sharing so honestly about marriage was such a hope to Susie and me as we embarked onto the unknown marriage journey 31 years ago. I loved our breakfast this fall and asking your guidance for the upcoming years. I asked, what did you learn in the years that I am approaching? And you said, your kids are always going to be your kids. I have loved the genuineness of your faith journey. No cookie cutter show up on Sunday for you. You were not afraid to stand apart and had too much integrity to fake things just for others' sakes. I adored that I got some of your time to celebrate Julia's graduation party on December 30th this past year. But it was your commitment to gun control that always defined so much about the man I knew. The man who took on the NRA and the legislature and the pundits. The man who year after year dusted himself off and got back into the game. That left me saying, I guess I will address a few more cards this year, or gather a few signatures, lace up the boots one more time. I had run out of steam on this one, frankly, and only got back into it because you always led the way. So when that man says he tried his hardest, when that man says that there's a hill up ahead that's not worth climbing, when that man says this is my last letter and I'm going home, well, first I cry, and then I cry some more, And then I acknowledge that he's showing me what lacing up for this one actually looks like. He's giving me another lesson, similar to the one you showed me decades ago of how much it really takes to do hard work of something like a marriage. Only this time it's a lesson about how a man deals with his bruised body. That he's giving me a lesson I might not be ready for, but I am nonetheless amazed at. You're an amazing man, Bill. I still pray for you every night. Whenever I wake up in the middle of the night, as a 60-year-old man often does, and can't sleep, I pray that you are resting well. And then if you're having trouble sleeping, that you be given just a little more easing of whatever is tense, so you can have a few more minutes of rest. Rest well, my friend.
We now will offer some common prayers. After each segment, please respond loudly and together. Hear our prayer. For the sorrowing family, relatives, and so many friends of Bill, especially Marie, David, Jane, Eileen, and other siblings, Joni and Mark, that they and we may find strength and consolation in the love and support of one another in this grand community. We pray to our God.
For those who loved Bill, who cannot be with us here today, we hold in our hearts especially his son, Michael, his parents, Fran and Dave, and Jane's partner, Sharon. We pray.
We pray for those here today that the memory of Bill, whom we loved, may inspire us with a renewed love for all our human family and all of creation, that we might love one another and the earth as we love our good friends. We pray.
We pray for a renewed commitment for Bill's advocacy for gun safety laws, that we may take up this significant cause to reduce violence and improve the lives of the people of our country. We pray.
For all artists, especially musicians, may they know enthusiastic and keen supporters like Bill, so that all of us will benefit from the heart-expanding experience of live music. We pray. Hear our prayer.
For adventurers and would-be adventurers, that Bill's example and cheerleading for all of us might make travelers among us, that we might know and love the diverse corners of our earth and remember him on our way. We pray.
For partnerships and communities and friendship and family and marriage, that we might take the risks to promise our lives to one another as Bill so generously committed to Marie and David and Michael, to his family, and to each of us. We pray. Hear our prayer.
for hospitality, that we might welcome the stranger and make a new friend. We recall the countless events hosted by Bill and Marie, enlivening dreary Portland winters or accompanying outdoor live music to perfect Portland summers. We pray. Hear our prayer.
I'm Eileen, Bill's sister-in-law. I lived with Marie and Bill during 2 summers of my college years. The first summer they lived in married student housing at the University of North Dakota. David was born that July. When Marie and David were at the hospital, Bill asked a neighbor to watch Michael. It was after dark. Bill invited me to join him as we drove around the UND campus. When we came across some flower beds in the landscape, Bill dug up a couple of those flowers and put them in a pot. The next morning, he took the flowers to Marie, his love and the mother of their 2 sons. When Marie and David got to come home, the flowers did too. A few days later, Bill, following his sense of integrity, returned the flowers to the same flower bed. He transplanted them back to where he borrowed them. Bill was my brother-in-law. After Marie and Bill married over time, I realized he was really my big brother. His genuine interest in me, his encouragement, sharing perspectives with me demonstrated that caring. There were also times when he was really critical of what I was doing and told me so. He and Marie both were really strong, loving influences on me during my coming-of-age years and over our decades together. And I've seen Bill show that same kind of genuine concern for other people, especially young people. He took an interest in whatever they were actively learning. He recognized them by attending their concerts and scouting events, plays, and birthdays and graduations. Bill advocated for gun safety. When Marie and Bill lived in Baltimore, Bill volunteered for the Brady Organization Against Gun Nonviolence to demand a ban on assault weapons. More recently, he led the gun safety campaign carried out with youth from St. Andrews and the neighborhood. Just days before Bill died, the Oregon Court of Appeals issued a ruling that upheld the work of Bill and countless others that passed Measure 114 in Oregon. May this important work, supported by Bill, continue. Please visit the table of his writings in the community center. After Bill had a very debilitating stroke, he was hopeful and determined on a daily basis to retrain his brain and body. It was a really discouraging time. As you may know, he made a courageous decision to stop all treatment, food and water, with the intention of coming home for his last days. It took courage to make that decision. It took even more courage to be able to stay with that decision. That decision freed him and Marie from a life of his immobility and suffering. It freed him from his body. May we all find ways to be so brave at the end of our lives.
I've known Bill all my life. I'm Jane Langenes, his younger sister. We were both born in Seattle, 19 months apart. Bill was very active when young. He'd be up early before our parents were and getting into all sorts of trouble, climbing up on things to get to the top shelf in a closet just to see what's there. they always told the story about when they moved to, I think it was Natchez, Washington, which is orchard country. They lived in a place near irrigation ditches, which were fast-running bodies of water. And to protect Bill, they put him in a dog harness and attached a long rope and attached that to a stake driven into the ground in a fenced yard. And one day, Mom looked up from what she was doing, and no Bill. There was a harness, but no Bill. Terrified, she went running out. Fortunately, one of the orchard workers had seen this little guy heading right towards the irrigation ditch and picked him up and brought him home. When Bill was about 3, we moved to New Rockford, North Dakota, my mother's hometown. It was a very small town. Everybody knew everybody. And school was hard for Bill. We went to school there. And today, he'd probably be diagnosed with some form of dyslexia. He couldn't spell worth a darn, and math was hard for him. He didn't get very good grades, and there was quite a bit of parental pressure to do better. I imagine it was probably hard for him to have a younger sister for whom school was easy, and I always felt guilty about that. Tried to find ways to make it up to him. But when Bill was grown, one of his jobs was at a tech startup in the Silicon Valley. Very grateful to have had the opportunity to care for him and let him know how much I loved him and appreciated him.
Dad did something very special for me, for us, in these last few weeks when he passed. I hadn't seen Michael for a year when he died 2 years ago, and the time that we had together and our contact was very, very difficult. As he became more alcoholic, more verbally abusive, I couldn't be around him, and I couldn't have him in my life, and that was an unbearable pain. There was so much hurt there for so many years, and when he died, there was relief that he wouldn't suffer anymore, but it left a gaping hole, and there was no resolution, and we all felt it. And I figured time would just go on, and eventually it would fade. But there was so much love around our home and the hospital. There were so many good moments, and I'm just grateful that my dad was giving that to us as a gift. There was healing, there was resolution there. He brought our family together, and Michael was there. And I'm very grateful to my dad for that.
Dear Bill, loving and being married to you reorganized my sleep patterns. Conversation topics, and even the distinction between giving and receiving, because your and my selves were fused. You have been my cheerleader, so I can be the best I can be with confidence. No, that wasn't always true, and it wasn't always that way, because in the first 20 years, you wanted me to be more like you. And you wanted me to do projects and tasks the right way, not to just get them done, which has been my way. In the past 36 years, we have been a team, particularly good at entertaining, travel, experiencing art in all forms, and music concerts from jazz to rock to classical. Celebrating our 50th anniversary in New York City, I will never, ever forget intermission at the Hamilton Musical. We stood up, hugged, and you said, "I'm so glad we're still married so we can experience this together." We were fortunate to have two sons who brought us joy and pride in their endeavors and talents. You and I loved Michael through his darkest times in alcoholism, which was heartbreaking and challenging and hard on our relationship. We took comfort when grieving together when Michael died. You and David have shared a love of music deep in your bones. David has enhanced his gift of talent since his Suzuki violin days, communicating and pleasing audiences from 1930s swing to a jazz mass to hard rock. David has high emotional intelligence, which was palpable in his devotion to you. You called David your translator because David was amazing in a most loving way at figuring out what you were trying to say in the last weeks after the stroke. You assisted me in every way when I started an education business, Kids Like Languages. You created the website and the marketing materials, and mostly cheered me on to use my gifts to the utmost. Every September 10, our anniversary, you insisted we go away for one night. It was the height of getting the school year going, so I was very stressed. Until when I got away and I could see the forest for the trees. I loved it when you announced, "I found a good romantic comedy for us to watch." I miss the every morning question, "Guess which song I have in my head?" I liked it when you used lyrics to a song. When I was running around in a hurry, you would either tell me I was a chicken with my head cut off, or you'd use a line from Take It Easy by the Eagles. The sound of your own wheels are making you crazy. You used the wisdom of Marion the librarian in The Music Man many times. including when high school seniors asked how to be successful in a marriage relationship. Marion said, "I would like a man who is interested in me more than himself, and who cares more about us than me." You wished that you had learned earlier in life to quit worrying about what makes you happy, and instead worked to make me happy, because that makes you happier than you thought you could ever be. With gratitude forever. Love, Marie.
We're going to sing this together 3 times, the song of farewell. On your papers. May the choirs of angels come to greet you. Paradise.
So I don't know if you know this, but Bill Langenes was Dave Zegar. It's funny when musicians do this because
That was still fun.
yeah, let's go to the party. Have a toast. All right.
Cheer on Andre. Sweet, I know. I just. Sorry. Here. I know. I have mine. I will see over there. Okay.
I gotta go get some cake.
They're all crammed together. I mean, we were all staggered out, but it's easier with them. Like Maddie thinks she's 14 just because she can't handle that. So we just go through everything at once. He was always vying for siblings, so it worked out.
No, it's great. What he's about the house that he's also really good. And we have so Hannah and I jump on the light rail and go down to pick him up. We head down to our gate. So it's been fun. Nice. Right now we've seen him the last 2 weeks.
You said he's a freshman? it's on county lots, so it feels really big. It's like right in town. There's a big winemaker field here. Trying to figure out how to get this one purchased. It stays what it is. It's so big a purchase. So, we couldn't make the move out to Crum downtown because for like 3 years, the kids were just getting more interested in finance, more interested in extracurricular activities. So to go out and isolate it would have been high school for them. And for us, we were driving and driving. So the reason you may not move out